This is a short video on evaluation because you're going to be having your teaching or your preaching evaluated by others, and also you'll be evaluating yourself. So some of this teaching comes from the Titus Project Manual. Evaluation is the final step of the teaching process. So as you teach and as you preach, then when you evaluate yourself, you are learning how to improve, how you can do better for the next time. And it helps you grow as a teacher and a preacher. When I do a teaching or a preaching, I always evaluate the way I have taught or the way I have preached, so that then I can try and improve for the next time. And if there are other people, if I teach on a SBS somewhere and there are other people in the class who are able to do a good evaluation of my teaching, then I might ask them to do that. But generally I'll always find ways that I can improve and do better, so that the next time I'll make changes within my teaching or how I teach some area of improvement. So I don't want you to feel daunted by this, because if you haven't done this before, it can be daunting. And also I can't emphasize enough, don't condemn yourself in any way. Even if you feel your preaching or your teaching hasn't done well, you've done the best that you can at that time, and you'll always be improving. So condemnation is something we really don't want you to experience or to feel. And if you do just bring that to Jesus, because he doesn't condemn you in any way. There's a man who is a great teacher, and he wrote books called Howard Hendricks. And he wrote a book called Teaching to Change Lives, which if you're doing the full online BTPS, you'll be reading this book. And he said, "The unexamined life is not worth living. Experience does not necessarily make you better. In fact, it tends to make you worse unless it is evaluated experience. The good teacher's greatest threat is satisfaction, the failure to keep asking, how can I improve?" So that's an encouragement for us as we teach and preach, that if we're satisfied with what we've done, then we're probably not going to learn. But if we know that we can improve, then that's really good, because we'll get better. Evaluation is important, but it's difficult to receive. It can be difficult, which is why I'm doing this video. You're learning, and it's wonderful when you hear good things about your teaching and your preaching and how well you've done. And that's really good to hear, because it's good to hear what we've done well in. But it can be really hard when we hear from someone about what they feel we can improve in and what they feel we can do better in. And we need to hear that though. Well, I did a degree in creative writing, and I would be evaluated on my writing by my peers and the tutor. And that was how I improved. That was how I knew if something was working or not within a character or in the story. And I might not like to hear that. I might like to think that it all went well. But if I just wrote by myself and no one ever did any evaluation, I would have no idea if it was any good or not. Whereas the fact that people were evaluating me and saying what they felt was good and not, then it really helped me to make changes and improve. So evaluation is not to criticise, but just help people to improve, and it also helps us to see our blind spots, those areas where we're not aware that we're doing not so well. And there might be what we call tics. So might be that we say all the time, or common expressions are like or yeah, and we might not even realise we're doing that. And then when we're evaluated and someone brings that up, then we notice that. And also recording. If you can just record yourself on a phone, which is what you will be doing as you hand in your preaching and your teaching, you will be recording it on a device. Then play it back to yourself as well and see how you can evaluate yourself and improve. And you'll have forms that you will give to your people who evaluate you, and also you'll have a synopsis which you will fill in to see how you can improve and what you'll write down to improve on. So when you give your forms to your evaluators, make sure that they understand the assignment that you're doing. So if you're doing expository preaching, you will have a specific assignment. So make sure they understand so they can give you a good evaluation based on that assignment. When you preach or teach, you will also be observing the audience and seeing how they are reacting and engaging with what you're teaching or preaching. But that's hard to do entirely. So when you receive evaluation from those who are evaluating you, they might be able to look around at your audience as well and see how the audience is engaging and observe that, which can be helpful. You may also want to listen to other teachings and preachings, and then that will help you by noticing what others have done well and what you feel they can improve on. And this might be in your church, or it might be watching video teachings or such on YouTube or elsewhere, or just if you're in a YWAM campus, listening to those who are giving talks. Paul encourages, the Apostle Paul, and so evaluation is meant to encourage the teacher and preacher. We see in Philippians and Colossians and 1 and 2 Thessalonians how he encouraged Timothy and also how he encouraged Titus. But he also mentioned ways of improvement, how things could be done. So evaluation encourages teachers to be more observant and to spur us on as we teach and preach. And it helps us to understand how to teach and preach and to improve. And so constructive giving evaluation really is valuable. And so it's important for you to choose your evaluators with care. If they have taught or preached before, then that's really good because they'll have a real understanding of what you're going through. So if your pastor is on board, that's excellent. Or if you know friends who have preached or are preaching or have taught or are teachers, then it's really good to get them to help you. And it will help you to grow into the kind of teacher and preacher that I'm sure you really want to be. The goal of giving evaluation also is not that you teach or preach in your evaluator's preferred style of preaching or teaching. You need to find your own style. So that's important too, that as they evaluate you, and you evaluate yourself, you try and find your style that you're going to be teaching or preaching in. And when you talk to your evaluators, tell them how you want to be evaluated, a way that will help you. So they need to be wise as they talk to you and as they fill in the forms that they will be given. But you might want them to be gentle on you. You might want them to be loving towards you. You might have to say to them, please don't be harsh, or don't give me too much information to work on. It might be that you just need one or two ways to improve. if they give you an abundance of ways of improvement, it can be really daunting and overwhelming. So it might be better if they just give you one thing that they think you can improve on. When I did my BTPS, I was told that I needed to improve in my voice, that apparently it was very high, and so I needed to improve that, but I wasn't told how to improve. So the person giving me that evaluation, maybe they didn't know how I could improve. I didn't know how I could improve. And so it wasn't so helpful. So if they can find ways of how you can improve, or you can see how you can improve, that can be really good as well. And when you evaluate yourself, spend time with Christ after your preaching or teaching and pray with him about what you've done well in and what you feel you can improve in. Some people are really good at thinking of all the things they've done well in, and they can't see much that they can improve on. And other people go completely the other way, that they can see little that they have done well on, and they can find a whole mass of things that they think they need to improve on. And it's good to find this kind of balance between the two, so that you can see clearly and what you've done well on, and then just find one or two things that you can improve on for the next time. And thank Jesus for what he's gifted you in, for what you've done well in, and ask for his help in ways that you can improve. And pray for yourself as well. Pray that Jesus helps you in your next teaching and preaching. And remember, you've never done anything bad. Don't think of it in ways like that. And again, don't condemn yourself, but just think of it, you're learning. And so you've done things well. You've always done things well in your teaching or your preaching, but there might well be ways that you can improve, and you will improve as you discover those improvements, and then you learn more. And if you're young, there is a scripture from 1 Timothy 4:12, which says, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity." So if you're young and you're preaching in a church and everyone's double or triple your age, then take that scripture, because it's not you preaching out of yourself. It's Christ sharing his word with the congregation through you and using you as a vessel. So always remember that. It is the Lord who anoints and appoints, and he will anoint you to preach to the audience. How can you receive evaluation? When you're listening to your people who are evaluating you, make sure that you just listen to them and try not to be defensive. Try to just listen to what they say, even if you don't agree with them, because they're taking time to listen to you and write down their thoughts. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to take on board everything they say or change according to what they think. But it is valuable to just listen and prayerfully think about what they have said. And if there are several people and they're all saying the same thing, then it might well be that there is something in that. And then it's good that that could be something that you can improve on. And if there's something that you strongly disagree with, then just prayerfully take that to Jesus and leave that with him, and move on to the next teaching or preaching. But my prayer for you is that you grow as a teacher and preacher, and that you are encouraged in the evaluation that you receive, and that it really helps you to improve in your teaching and your preaching.